All right.
Okay.
People can see us and they can hear us.
People can hear us and they can see us now.
Well, now hold on. They can see us and they can hear us, or they can hear us and they can see us.
They can see us and they can hear us.
Okay.
And
so
if
you're
they
saying they're seeing us before they're hearing us.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
For
Well, I'm
those
not
who are
seeing
live,
you at all, for the
correct. Correct. We've got
Yeah.
the weird setup, of course.
Yeah, the weird setup. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spot on.
If you didn't see it, I was just messing with my hair, which you didn't see it because you can't see
which
me.
I didn't see.
Yeah.
I wish I could see, but I can't see. So.
Well, we kind of got straight into it, but I forgot to ask, how was your Monday?
Dude, it was hot. It was so hot up here. The Midwest is in the middle of like a heat dome right now. It's awful.
Yeah.
I got into my car to go to CVS earlier. I hit the ignition button because everything's pushed to start now, and so I pressed this button and on pops my my little thing right behind the steering wheel, my like dash, and it's like temperature 97 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm like, I'm parked in a shaded insulated garage.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Not ideal.
No. And that number did not go down when I got out of the garage.
No, I believe it.
Interestingly enough, that number did not really go much further up. It's just hot. It's just gross. It's terrible.
I feel like most of the United States are feeling you. I know down here in Florida we are.
I believe it. Yeah.
Across the Midwest, there's the heat wave and
yeah,
in England.
Heat waves, yeah, that's right.
The 79-degree Fahrenheit heat wave.
Hey. Don't give them more credit than they deserve. It was 78 degrees.
Sorry, Fahrenheit. 78. Man, I would kill for that weather.
My house yesterday with the AC running was 80 degrees.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. What I would do for 78 degrees outside.
Oh man. And they all complain about not having AC. You know what AC. I would do? I would install AC. Personally. So
I don't know. Get those
just
Dyson get those Dyson standing like tower fans that are like heating and cooling. Just put those in all your rooms.
Yep.
Like if you're at which point it would be cheaper to just install central air. We're being honest. I mean, those Dyson fans are not cheap. I think you can see them at like Costco for like $600. But
yeah. So, sorry, I had to make fun of our English brethren.
Oh, absolutely.
We still love y'all.
Mandatory.
I mean, you're wearing an Arsenal shirt. We had somebody. We have Arsenal Seattle fan in the chat.
Right.
So we all love England. But
well, hold on. Let's not say we all love England because
we gotta make fun of them.
I think. Yeah, we have a fun relationship with England. As we sit here, because I don't know what you're wearing because I can't see you. It would be amazing if you were also wearing an Arsenal shirt though.
I could put one on, but I don't really feel like doing that.
It's too late.
I'm wearing a bland gray T-shirt that I wore to work.
You are an inspiration to many.
Dude, Arsenal Seattle fan is so ready to get started. He's already dropped 3 comments in the chat. He's going crazy.
Dude, there was so much that happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, Gavin, I immediately was done like on so many of my bets over the weekend. Just to talk about those real quick. Like the New England win over Revolution, or sorry, the New England win over Vancouver was not in my bingo card.
No. For me, it was Toronto losing that home to Chicago.
Also not in my bingo card. Like
it was in my bingo card, just on the wrong.
Yeah,
my bingo card was Toronto winning, not Toronto losing.
I mean, it should have been everyone's bingo card is Toronto winning. Like Chicago have been terrible, except apparently now they're on a winning streak or like an undefeated streak. So.
Yeah, very depressing.
RSL continues their undefeated. Hey, Gavin. Anyways, since I feel like I'm talking about
let's just get into it.
All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MLS Now podcast. I'm your host. You can find me on social media at Mr. Dangerous. That's right, it's me, Russell. Remember, you can also find the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast. And most importantly, you can find the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who gets me talking about the podcast before we're even officially really recording the podcast. You can find Gavin on social media at LionsBlog1. Gavin, thank you for getting us basically podcasting before we were even podcasting.
Just doing my job.
Yeah.
I've actually started this new thing. You haven't noticed it because you can't see me on the camera. But every time you say Lions Blog 1, I put my finger up in an L. And then when you say the 1, I put the 1 up. So it's kind of like a little...
Nice.
It's like a little signature now. So pretty proud of it.
Nice. I'm assuming that L is also to indicate Orlando's results every week.
Yes. Every single week. So...
Boy, it's
rough out here in these streets in Orlando.
It's brutal out. Yeah.
Hey,
it's hot. We talked about the weather, and not only is it hot in Orlando, but also the team's not very good. So
yeah, the team is not very hot. We do have an L though in the a question here from Arsenal Seattle fan. Why does the new Arsenal kit look like a bottle?
Do
you like the new one?
We had the bruised banana last year. I feel like you can't have bruised banana every year, you know?
Yeah.
Which also, to be fair, we had the third kit that looked like 1980s, 1990s movie theater carpet, and I loved that.
That was a good one. That was
a really good one. It wasn't even a primary kit, which is a real missed opportunity because banger.
Don't we wear the third one like once or twice a season nowadays? I feel like before we used to wear it like 6 or 7 times, but now it's just like never being worn.
Well, no, we wore the pink kit like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, the pink one was a good one though.
That was a really good one. Yeah,
we've been killing it with kits, but the
we have
the bottle kit. That one's got to grow on some people, I think.
Here's the thing: if you make the kit be a bottle, the team can't bottle it during the season.
Some would disagree. Some would say it's an indicator of things to come.
Look, we're gonna keep that negativity away. That said, I will just say this: love the minimalist crest design, just the cannon.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Chef's kiss.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Big fan of all the teams that are doing minimalist, nice, clean, simple logos. Really love it.
Absolutely.
Huge fan. Hey, Seattle with that new branding and the Orca, love it.
I do like it. Yeah.
Big fan.
It's pretty good. Okay, back to MLS. Sorry.
Right, back to that. Yeah. Well, no, I was segueing us to MLS.
Yeah.
So, and hey, I'm going to segue us into a topic that we've kind of already talked about a little bit as we talk about Seattle, and a few other teams are also relevant to this. Gavin, how do you judge when a team is in their quote unquote window of opportunity to win hardware?
They're good.
Have yes. Thank you for the lowest hanging fruit of all time on that one. But I mean, more complex than that, right? Like, how do you know when does the window even open, and when is it time to say no, the window's gone? Like, slam it shut. Like, I would say Philadelphia, the window's gone, and maybe this season kind of bears out on that, but I don't think people thought going into this season that the window was going to be gone, though, and yet here we are.
Yeah, a lot of things have to come together for a window of opportunity to open up, in my opinion. I think you have to have the right coach. I think you have to have the right squad. And within the squad, I think you have to have contributing players who aren't your key guys. Like, you need strong contributors in terms of literally goals and assists who aren't your DPs, right? And then defensively, you have a couple of cheaper guys who are playing above their pay grade at the moment. And like, you have to kind of finagle all of that in with the squad, because eventually your guys are going to want to get paid, right? So
Right.
sooner or
They're
later, you're
short.
going to lose some of those players. So in my opinion, you got to have some players who are playing above their pay grade. You have to get those contributors. You have to get the coach right. You got to get a little lucky as well. Like all of that has to come together at the same time, and then you have to get a little bit lucky with like momentum and like injuries and things like that, that like you're able to keep the squad together, you're able to get momentum, you're able to churn through all the games and just get good results, and then come the end of the season, you start to go on that run. We saw that with Columbus last season. We saw something similar when NYCFC won their cup a few seasons ago. Like getting that momentum at the end of the season is really key heading into the playoffs. So I think to notice it for me, it would just be like, yeah, the good teams will always feel they have a window of opportunity, but it's like you look at Wilfred Nancy and Columbus Crew, and it's like that is a clear window of opportunity in this moment. They're in win now mode, and they've won. They got to the final of the cup, and I think they're going to go all out for MLS Cup again this season, and Leagues Cup. I think they're going to target Leagues Cup as well. Like they're going for every single silverware imaginable. Philadelphia was doing that for a couple seasons, and now they've faded, and you can't even fathom seeing them in the playoffs this season with the way they're playing. So
Yeah. Insanely, like there's so many players that were on that team that are still on that team.
yes, and that also maybe is a key factor that I'm glad you added is like the players have to be in good form as well, because like you said, it's the same players, maybe a couple years older, maybe a couple of
Couple years wiser.
inches slower though, like maybe a yard slower to the ball. Bedoya's not 32, he's 34, things like that, or I don't know how old he is. I know he's up there. Things like that play a key role into when you have an actual window of opportunity.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Very fair.
Who would you say is in a window of opportunity? I know I pointed out Columbus, but like what other teams do you see out there that are like this? They're clearly in the middle of a window and they need to go all out for it.
Well, I think you have to mention Cincinnati. I think Miami is clearly in the win now mode as well, considering they've signed a bunch of guys who do they even have another year or two in them? Like this might be the window is this year and maybe part of next year. And then weirdly enough, RSL I think is easing into a window. I didn't think they were going to be in the window when this year started, but players are in unbelievable form. Chicho is carrying that team on his back, and it's like you make a few additions and this team is going probably to your Western Conference Finals, maybe even all the way to MLS Cup.
Yeah, and they do have those. They do have those supporting cast players as well currently, in my opinion,
right? Yeah,
that are helping fuel them. It's definitely not just the Chicho show. He's a big part of it, but
and they've got younger players as well. Like it looks like it could be sustainable for a couple years. I mean, Chicho could still play at this level for a while. I mean, Diego Luna is still young and growing and developing, and like he's on a good trajectory. And you have what's his face, who's injured yet again?
Ruiz.
Yeah, Pablo Ruiz.
I think he's out for the season again. But they backfilled him. That's the thing. Right. They backfilled him.
Yeah, and again, it could be one of those things where like next season he'll be healthy. They're better with him on the field.
Right.
Will he stay healthy all season? The history says probably not, but
right.
While he is, they'll be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are a few that stand out to me. I mean, maybe you could throw LAFC in there as well. And I don't necessarily know if they're even in a full-on win now mode as much as they're just continuing to win.
I think they're on like the down. They're like on the end of one. Like they're coming off of one almost.
Maybe
Like
so.
when they had.
They're still in it, but how much longer will they be in it?
For me, when they had Bale and Chiellini and Vela and Palacios and who was the guy in midfield? Cifuentes. Like that was their win now mode, and now they're kind of like recycling, which they do a really good job at. Like they really do a really good job at just like churning through players. Very rarely do they just like miss on multiple signings. And they've done that like once, I think, and they didn't even make playoffs that season. But other than that, they've been consistently one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shall we get into the matches?
I suppose we should. Well, Gavin, I've got four that I picked out, and you're more than welcome to toss some in here as well. But four specifically, I wanted to talk extensively about.
Okay.
Titles for these we have No I in Team, Reverting to the Mean, 90 and 45, and Can't Buy a Win.
Can't buy a win. All right, let's start with Can't Buy a Win.
All right, Can't Buy a Win. We've got Philadelphia 1, Miami 2.
That's the perfect title for that one.
Yeah, there was no other. There was nothing else in my mind when this came along, and this so perfectly encapsulates, I think, where Philly are. Where when we say the window's closed, if not closing, if not fully closed, Ure gets a goal in 3 minutes, which is just so on brand for basically every single Miami matches. The other team scores almost right away, but then Philadelphia kind of ended up being somewhat toothless after that. Miami got a little bit more competent. They get a goal, excellent. They get a red card. I'm like, they're playing for the draw. They get another red card, and I'm like, they're really playing for the draw. Surely Philly has to win, though. I mean, you're
Right.
up 2 guys. You haven't won at home in quite a while. You need to get the win. And right at the death of the match, you, being a team that's up 2 men, let a basically free runner run to counter and take all 3 points at your home when they're down 2 men. That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's unacceptable.
I don't know how they contrived to lose this match. It was ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
I
mean, the players were exhausted, it looks like.
Yeah,
I don't think there was.
play.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything that a player could have done at that point. Like there was no more energy left to give. But you had a 2-man advantage. Like, come on.
Yeah, you got to do something. You got to do better than you did.
Pull the dude down. Take a red card. Like,
fair. You're still a man up.
Yeah.
Fair. I do feel bad for Philadelphia in the sense that the first red card, they're on a clear breakaway, and the ref calls it back to give the red card. And like with 20 minutes left, you're still like, okay, like we're up a man, like whatever. But that was a clear chance to score, and the ref kind of took that away from them because of the second yellow. And I think refs are just told, I think the what is the word? The training to the refs, or the communication to the refs, is that they're supposed to give the red card immediately. Like you don't play advantage and then go back and give the second yellow.
Right.
So that's why I think he
makes
stopped
sense.
it. It does make sense.
Because like what? Yeah. Like what would you have done if Philadelphia had scored? Then do you go back and be like, oh, Philadelphia just scored? Also, second yellow. So now not only did you get scored on, you now get a red card from the run of play.
Which is weird because if it was not a second yellow, he would have played advantage and probably gone back and yellow carded him after the goal. So I feel for Philadelphia in that instance because they had a clear chance on that breakaway, but that obviously doesn't mean that it would have turned into a goal. And to be 2 men up at one point in the match and still contrive to give the ball or give away a goal and not even score, it's pretty sad. Arsenal Seattle fans says Miami had 2 red cards and somehow they dominated in possession with 58% of the ball and going on to win the match. It's just absurd. It is just absurd.
Yeah, Philly was kind of the driving topic behind that whole window of opportunity conversation when we talked over the weekend. I mean, it's how bad is it for Philly? Are you saying the season's over at this point? Like, do you even try in the summer window? I mean, Kai Wagner was on record saying, well, you should have seen like the team ownership needs to invest in players, and it's just like they invested in you. They brought you back. So, I mean, was bringing Wagner back the wrong choice? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I get what he's saying, especially because they just lost Carranza. So, like, he probably feels they just lost. Well, not even he feels. Like, we all know they just lost one of their best players. And they're on this huge skid. They're on this poor form. Like, yeah, you got to bring in some players. Absolutely. But, like, the players that they have are good enough to be winning games. Like, we've seen that across multiple seasons. So it's just poor form. It's low confidence, and probably a coach who's having to try new things because the things that he's trying right now just clearly aren't working. And so he's probably chopping and changing little things here and there, and it's just not working.
Is this, and specifically, let's talk about this second goal. Is this a mental toughness issue where a team thinks to themselves, we've got this in the bag, we're up 2 guys, I don't need to stay positionally disciplined, or like the other teams, there's no way they're going to do anything? Like, is this just an instance of Philadelphia have no way of like mentally seeing out these games or staying focused? And is that a leadership issue? Because like, Bedoya is aging, okay. Andre Blake wasn't even in this match, and I think, isn't he usually their captain when he's on the field?
I think so, yeah.
So I mean, and Gozdog's out for Euros, and not to say that Gazdag being out for Euros is the whole reason why they lost. I mean, there's plenty of blame to go around with, them throwing away this, at least a point at home. But I mean, how much is leadership affecting them too?
Yeah, leadership, probably. On the goal itself, I mean, I think it's just, you can write it off. Down to players players pushing too hard is what I was thinking of. Like, pushing, trying to get that goal, trying to be in more advanced positions, almost just like willing the ball to get into the back of the net. And you're up 2 men.
It went into a net.
it did go into a net. But unfortunately, it was their own net. They I just don't think they paid enough attention or gave enough respect to Miami to be able to go down the field and score. Obviously, they left it 1v1 at the back, and Glesnes did not handle that situation well. So leadership, but also just like pushing too hard and not respecting the defensive side of the game. Arsenal Seattle fan, what about Kavan Sullivan at this point? Are you playing him? I'm not. I'm not putting him anywhere near this train wreck right now. I don't do that to his career, because then it looks like, Kavan, please come in and save us. And like, you can't do that to a kid, because when he doesn't eventually save them, it's like, oh, he's not as good as everyone thinks he is, like, and then all the pressure's on. So I would love to see him play, but not at this moment. I would rather him come into a fully functioning Philadelphia. Got to give credit to Miami. There's not much to say, just because they defended well and they kind of snagged the goal. But all credit where credit's due. They hung on and got the goal. So
yeah,
that's all I'll say there.
Absolutely.
Okay. 45 and 90, because I already know what game that is.
You mean 90 and 45?
90 and 45.
That's right. That's right. Yep, 90 and 45. You are. Do you want to take a guess? What do you think it was?
San Jose to Cincinnati 4.
Correct. Yep.
Bingo.
Yep. Spot on. I mean, you go into halftime 0-0. Now, granted, if you're San Jose, you might feel very hard done to go into halftime 0-0 because they had opportunities. They had plenty of chances and, moments where you're like, that should have been a goal for San Jose. But go into halftime 0-0, 6 goals in the second half. You have Matt Miazga got stretchered off at one point from a collision with the goalpost. Players slipping just all over the field for basically the entire match, of which one of those slips leads to one of the goals that happened in this match. Yuya Kubo comes on as a substitute and scores the 4th fastest hat trick in MLS history, 9 minutes. After San Jose had gone up 2-1, like, what more do you want? Like, this was a full match in just the second half. It was so much fun. I was on an emotional roller coaster.
I'm sure you were, being a Cincinnati fan. Just an insane match overall. Let's start with San Jose. I mean, what did you think of them and their performance? Because they gave you guys a tough time.
They gave us a tough time. Probably should have scored more than 2. Honestly, like, the match changes if they put away any of those chances that they had early on. And I think that's been a story of much of the season, though, is San Jose just hasn't been taking advantage of the chances when presented to them. And it stays consistent tonight. So that's my big takeaway from the first half, which, I mean, it's a 0-0 half. I don't know what more you can really take away from it.
Yeah.
But San Jose had the chances. They did not capitalize on them. You thought they'd get away with it when they went up 2-1, and then the missed chances come back to bite. So
Kubo came on and said, actually, we're not doing this.
It was unbelievable. I mean, and more than Kubo, Lucho just, I don't know if you saw some of the assists that Lucho had to Kubo. I think the first one on Kubo's first goal, it was like a no look, like all the way across the body, plays it into space where it's just Kubo.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah, like unbelievable pass. I mean, it's insane that Lucho Acosta's 30. Like, that's, if Lucho Acosta was, I don't know, 5 years younger, he wouldn't be in MLS playing the way that he's playing.
No, absolutely not. Where was he 5 years ago? He was in Mexico, right? Because he left for a bit, then came back.
Yeah, he might have been in Mexico, or it might have been his last. It was 2019. Was he in DC in 2019?
Maybe. But then he left.
I mean, he was at Atlas for a little bit.
That was weird.
But yeah, I mean, look. Point being, we always hear about the story where he almost signed with PSG, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, like, you can see that the quality is there. So
he joined Atlas in 2020. So yeah. He left Mexico.
In 2019.
Came back. Sorry, I said that was weird because I was on Transfermarkt and an ad started playing. It was very loud in my ears, and probably very loud in the listeners' ears. So
love that. I didn't hear it at all.
No, yeah, not at all. But listeners would have. So apologies there. Anything else to say on that just absurd game? Anything specific?
I mean,
go watch the highlights, people. It's a fun one.
Like, realistically, I don't know what else you want me to say about a 6-goal in just the second half game.
True.
It was so good. Go watch just the second half. Skip the first half.
Was that your guys' first game back after the loss?
That was our first game back after the break.
And your last game before the break was the loss to Nashville, right?
Right. Yep.
So,
and I will tell you,
big bounce back game.
Look, the first half looked a lot like Nashville defending.
Gotcha.
Why I say San Jose should probably feel hard done not to have scored in the first half.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, substitutes came in. They did some excellent work. Dado Valenzuela, impact guy in the second half. Kubo got the player of the match day for a 9-minute hat trick, very rightly so.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So
And yeah, I mean, Lucho Costa continues to rack up the goal contributions. He's to 91 assists now.
that's absurd. That
It's
is
solid.
absurd.
The man, I think he probably could get to what, like 70 or 80 goals and 100 assists at the current pace that he's going on right now by the end of the
Like
season.
for his career, yeah.
Yeah, for his MLS
pretty
career.
good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Pretty
crazy.
solid.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
legend status right there.
Yeah, that's really good company. I mean, you're talking like huge names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
awesome. I don't remember the other two categories, so you can just pick one.
we have, I'm going to take us to reverting to the mean. It's Orlando versus LAFC.
Who's reverting?
Orlando, in a way, both, right?
Both. Yeah.
So Orlando is reverting to probably where their numbers say they should be.
Yep.
LAFC are reverting to what we all always say that they are. Yeah. We always say, oh, LAFC are going to be really good this year. And then like something happens and we're like, oh, maybe LAFC are past it. And then like now they're back to, okay, LAFC are a good team. So.
Yeah. This match just really frustrated me, obviously with the loss. But even when we got to 1-1, like I was so frustrated in the stands that like I didn't even really celebrate the goal. I just clapped.
You guys should have been 2-1.
I mean, we should have scored the penalty, obviously. That was Facundo Torres' first missed penalty in his career, ever. So, there's that. And just overall, like, in the attack, we were way too slow. There were times where we would win the ball back with, like, within, like, 30 yards of their goal. And instead of being direct and, like, taking advantage of the transition opportunity, we would take a touch, and then look for a pass. And no one wanted to take the initiative to go run at the defense and make something happen. And so, for me, it's just low confidence from the players. No one is stepping up and being that guy. Like, Luis Muriel is, like, trying, and he's, like, the only one, but, like, he's clearly a good facilitator, but it's the final ball from him that's the problem. Like, he's got so much quality, Luis Muriel, so much quality, but like he's not the creative type. He's just better than everyone on the field. So like with the ball at his feet. So like he gets the ball and we try to use him in a creative role, but that's not really what he does. Ironically, in this game, he does get the assist, but like that was more just us playing 1-2s around the box 25 times, and one time with these level of players that's going to come off. And other than that, we just play 1-2s and then we lose it. Play 1-2s and then we lose it. And we don't shoot. And it's just really frustrating to be an Orlando City fan right now because we get in good positions in the attack and then it's too slow. It's too, oh, you take it. No, you take it. Pass. No one wants to take the shot. And it just goes begging, and then LAFC just counter, and Bogusz runs past all our players and just easily slots it home, and just really frustrating. So LAFC played well defensively. I wouldn't say LAFC played well on the day, but they just kind of held their nerve and said, hey, Orlando, we dare you to come beat us. And we didn't take that dare.
Hey, so the LAFC penalty kick, do you think that was frustration by Orlando in the aftermath of not converting the penalty that you had?
It could have been. It felt very desperate from our defensive midfielder for no reason. Like he's running to the byline, just stay on your feet and block the cross. And if you don't block it, then like I don't know, that those crosses happen a lot and rarely lead to goals. You would like the statistics say crosses from the byline are pretty low percentage just because they get cleared a lot, they bounce around. So I don't know. It probably was frustration just that like he got past our defender and here we are defending after we've been in the attack for most of the game, and it was really stupid.
Yeah, stupid is definitely the word that is more polite than what I think I used in our group chat when that happened.
Arsenal Seattle fan says that Facundo Torres penalty was blasted to the moon. He probably smashed it because Lloris was a world champion. I did think that may have influenced it, actually. Just the very fact that he was against a big name goalkeeper like Hugo Lloris.
Here's my thought. I think Facundo might have gotten confused and thought that he was at Kennedy Space Center and that he was helping, launch something to orbit.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Which, I mean, I get it, like he's not from the US, he's probably not familiar with the geography, like he's just like, wait, this is my chance. I'm going to help with the space program.
Yeah. All right, are you cool if I pick a game?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm going to do Atlanta 2, Houston 2. I don't have fancy schmancy titles.
Oh, okay. Well, you can come up with one if you want. You got 5 seconds. Go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's your title? On the spot.
Hot in attack, like the weather.
Except the roof was closed at this match, and they said it was 72 degrees inside.
Oh, man. Not hot like weather, but it was hot in attack. I don't know. I just want to highlight that the attacking in this game was pretty fun to watch from both teams. Atlanta with their new coach, and Houston with their key talisman back in full form and full fitness, and Hector Herrera. It was just a good match, fun match overall, and it also allows us to highlight that Georgios Giacomakis has officially left, which we kind of talked about already, but it's officially official.
It is officially official. Hey, is this maybe secretly the best time to be playing Houston before they get that new DP striker in?
Probably. Ezekiel Ponce from AEK Athens. Club record deal.
Yeah.
I hope this, how we talked about last week, maybe 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Some MLS clubs have been getting scammed recently. I hope this isn't one of those. I haven't really watched his highlights, so I can't really comment on the matter. But it's a club record deal. We've seen a lot of club record deals go wrong. Hopefully this guy is not the case.
Yeah. I do think, here's a follow-up question. Guzan's back in goal.
Somehow, yes.
Why? Yeah, why?
I mean, he's all right.
Yeah, but I mean...
He made a couple good stops this game.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think Guzan's going to be done after this season anyways. You had a perfect reason to transition to another keeper. With the injury, and then him being out with the red card.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just you had a great excuse to be like, you know what? Hey, we're going to show faith in our young guy, give him a run of games, and then maybe we'll just keep the run of games going.
Okay, yeah.
But now Guzan's back. And I don't...
think he's their captain, so we should keep that in mind. Spiritually.
Yeah.
Leadership.
Right. But, I mean, again, if Guzan's going to be gone at the end of this season, who's going to captain Atlanta when he's gone? Unless that person who they think is going to be the captain isn't on the team right now. Which is a whole other issue. If you're going to go out and find someone who you think is going to captain your team next year...
that's a problem. I think once he leaves, someone will... It always happens. Someone clearly steps into that role naturally. I'm trying to think of their squad and who that could be because I genuinely have no idea.
Well, yeah, like I mean, it's not gonna be Almada.
Could it be Lennon? I don't know if he's
Maybe.
like leadership material though, but he's been around a decent while. Or like McCarthy, Dax McCarthy, McCarty, not McCarthy,
But
McCarty.
he's not gonna be starting every match for you.
No, but yeah, I guess they don't have to be a starter.
What? But who's gonna be your captain when McCarty's not on the field?
That's true. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Who's their captain? I'm looking
Yeah.
around. Obviously Atlanta fans could probably identify someone, but I just don't see a clear leader on their team. So that's a good point. So yeah, Guzan. I mean, I'm fine with Guzan staying as goalkeeper the rest of the season, but I agree he's not ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still think that they've stuck with him as their goalkeeper too long,
I agree.
personally.
I agree. Um, Arsenal Seattle fan. Ponce had 14 goals in 29 games in the Greek Super League. So I mean that's a positive sign.
It's decent, yeah. Now, granted,
How does that
I will
translate to?
yeah, I will admit I follow some random leagues. The Greek Super League is not one that I follow very closely.
He also played for AEK Athens, who are traditionally one of the better teams in that league. Am I correct? Like there's a
I mean, it's not Olympiacos, and I know Olympiacos is usually like your gold standard for Greek teams.
well in the regular season, AEK Athens finished above Olympiacos. They finished in
Interesting.
second. So I don't know. I mean, if he was starting for one of the better teams in the league, like that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good. Oh my gosh, what's
It's
the
a good
word?
metric.
Metric.
It's a
Thank
good
you.
litmus test.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a good sign. Oh my
Right.
gosh, I'm
Now,
like
man,
losing
I
it
really
today.
wish that he was being signed from the Turkish league because I could tell you tons about the Turkish league, but
You follow the Turkish league, really? I didn't know that.
yeah, they broadcast it on Fubo.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize
Yeah.
that you follow that.
I follow a lot of leagues.
Yeah.
Any league that broadcasts on Fubo, I usually catch matches on.
All right, I'll move us off of this topic, but just quickly, Bryce has a correspondent corner. He says this team felt more of the same, giving up an 89th minute goal and losing the 3 points at home in its first game after the firing of Gonzalo Pineda. Off the field, the team has officially sold Giacomakis, and Almada continues to give media interviews how he's ready for his next chapter. As a fan, I'm quite ready for the next chapter as well. Yeah, it's not ideal.
Are you calling it curtains on the season for Atlanta?
Um, Depends how quickly they can get a coach in.
I'm calling it curtains.
Okay. I think you're calling it early. There's still a lot to play for. Aren't they in a or close to a playoff spot if they're not in one?
I don't. I. What are they going to accomplish? Because hear me out on this. They would need to get a coach, like do a full coaching search and make a hire. Like unless they
Yeah.
already were way ahead of that, ahead of firing Pineda, then maybe they get that done quickly. But point being, got to get a head coach. That head coach will have to come in and give an identity to the existing team. They have a transfer window coming up for summer, which they need to replace Giacomakis. Thiago Almada talks about how he's ready for his next chapter, so potentially you need to replace Thiago Almada as well, right? You're going to need
Mm-hmm.
to help shore up the midfield, which has been dreadful for Atlanta. There's so much work to do just from like a getting the team into a point where they can then succeed and make a run. And I don't know how you do all of that in probably the next 30 days.
I don't think it needs to happen in the next 30 days, though. That's the thing.
I
Like,
mean, but if you're gonna go get a head coach, right? Like now, you would want to have them have most of the transfer window to like talk about players that they want and like figure out what sort of system they have and where the gaps are. Like you're not going to bring a coach in at the end of the transfer window because then they're just using what they have. Like if you're going to try and make a run, you would hopefully want to give that coach the players they need to make their system work.
I think with me, my feeling is they have a good enough team of players that with a competent coach, they can go pretty far and they can turn it around quickly. Like, I rate a decent bit of their players. And, like, the defense is the biggest place that they're lacking. So if they can get a coach that can put them in a system, that means the system is the defense and you're not relying on individuals to be strong defensively. And then I think they have the quality in attack if they can just harness it correctly. And so, like, I think for me, it's get the coaching hire right within the next, 60 days. You have the Leagues Cup break as well. Unfortunately, maybe you need to throw away the Leagues Cup or you use it as like almost like a preseason opportunity almost for a new coach if you can get someone in by then. And then from there, you assault the end of the season, try to go on a run, and then boom, you have that momentum heading into playoffs. Like, I don't think the season is curtains yet, but it depends on when they get the coach in, and they will need a new striker. And Arsenal Seattle fans helping out in the chat saying Almada's in talks with Boca, potentially Leon and Botafogo as well. Losing him would be a big hit. Even bigger than Giacomakis.
What has he done this season?
He hasn't done a ton, but like he's their hope. Like, I think he's their hope. If they're going to turn things around with a new coach, I think it's going to be centered around him. And if he leaves, that's where I start to feel concerned because then you lost Giacomakis and Almada. And Giacomakis is already a huge loss. So we'll see. But a lot of interesting things going on with Atlanta.
I have a more negative outlook than you, but I hope for Bryce's sake that your outlook is the one that happens.
Me too, because then I get to be right.
Right. Well, they're guaranteed. The curtain's on the season then.
Yeah. All right. What was your last game?
There's no I in team. LA Galaxy versus SKC. And hear me out on this, Gavin. You ready? There were 6 goals scored in this game. Do you know how many different goal scorers there were in this game?
6.
6.
There were 6. I would say on the Galaxy side, there was an I in team.
Well, yes, but there's no I in Peck. So
yes, that's true. Gabriel Peck played lights out this weekend.
He did.
But correct, there were all different goal scorers.
Yeah, I do believe that, he was involved in every single Galaxy goal.
Was he really?
Worth noting, I believe he was. I think he was like credited with either primary or secondary, like the hockey assist.
Yeah.
I think he was attributed on the other 3 that he didn't score.
Gotcha.
In fact, I'll fact check myself on that right now. But okay. I'm relatively confident on that statement because I remember going back and looking at that because there was, of course, the Twitter people saying Gabriel Peck was robbed. And I'm like, well, Gabriel Peck didn't score a 9-minute hat trick. So
that's fair. He just played a 90-minute complete amazing performance. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Peck was involved in every single goal for the match.
Nice. Well, in real life numbers, he has 5 goals, 6 assists on the season. So steady contributions, nothing out of this world. He's kind of been in and out of the team, but I'd like to see him pick up those numbers just a little bit. This is a good start.
Yep. Hey, just briefly, SKC are dreadful.
Yep.
Do you want to bring in our correspondent corner on SKC and just like before we go basically rehashing everything that he already says?
Travis says, what is there to say that isn't beating a dead horse? The team is bad. They're trusting Vermees with a rebuild, and there's no news on hiring a sporting director. There are rumors we'll be active in the next 3 transfer windows, but we don't have a sporter director to oversee any new signings. Like, what's the strategy?
There's not a strategy.
What's the long term goal?
There's
Like, the
not a
long term
goal.
goal is to win, but how are you going to get there? They don't know.
Yeah,
It's
which means
pretty.
there's not a goal.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Like if I have a goal to win the lottery.
If you're Vermees, how how hard do you think he's working? Like, isn't he tired at this point? Like, he has
Maybe.
got to be so comfortable in this position, and like, maybe he doesn't even have anyone to say no to him. Like, maybe he's gotten that much power at the club, but like, if you're Vermees, I don't think you're sweating over every single little decision you make. Sometimes you just make a decision and you stick with it and you don't think twice about it. Whereas I feel like better coaches and what is he, like, general manager as well, or technical director or
Yeah.
whatever, like, they're sweating over every single little decision, every single dollar spent, every single minute given to players. I don't get the feeling that he's thinking like that anymore.
No.
They're they're really struggling for points right now, right? Let me go look at the form guide.
Yeah.
I had it up earlier.
Well, I mean, the form guide is pretty easy to look at for the record.
Oh my
But
gosh.
just to save you the effort, they're second to last in the West. San Jose is the only team behind them.
So they beat Seattle on June 9th, but they're like in like 12 games they have one win and two draws.
Yeah, they're
They had a 7 loss streak, 7 game loss streak. It's bad. So like,
yeah. There's it's a race to the
yeah.
bottom between them and San Jose. And like the crazy thing is, I can see San Jose picking up random wins still between now and the end of the season.
Yes, San Jose will do that. Not I SKC will do a couple random wins, but less than San Jose.
Right.
Ian Southcote want says 14 points in 18 games for SKC. Truly awful. Like, that is ugly, 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 ugly,
Yeah.
and yeah, it doesn't look like it's getting any better. So no Ian
They
team,
are.
no future
Yeah.
in Kansas City currently.
I'll say this: there's an I in win, and there certainly is no I in SKC, so they can't be having any wins.
Yeah. Okay, I'll pick a match to talk
Oh
about.
wait, hold
Oh,
on. One other
yeah.
thing,
Mm-hmm.
just worth noting: no Ricky Pooch for LA Galaxy in this match.
Yeah, and usually they struggle without him.
Good
But
sign.
Peck stepped up, and they played a bad team, and they still gave
Yeah,
up 2 goals.
that's yeah. That is the caveat that I think is important to put there is they did play SKC, so
All
but
right,
look, they still scored 4 goals without Pooch, so good on them.
I got 2 games, 2 more games that I think we should hit
Okay,
on. Let's start with
hit me with
Chicago
them.
with a big upset over Toronto.
Ooh, ruining
Big,
all of my ruining many of my bets.
all of mine.
Yeah,
Truly a huge upset. 4-1 win on the road. And honestly, I thought Chicago kind of forced Toronto into big errors. Like, the main takeaway from me was like Chicago were just pressing Toronto hard and Toronto couldn't cope with it. And they tried to pass out of the back, tried to pass out of the back, and they kept giving the ball away, and Chicago were just clinical.
did you see how mad Herdman was?
Yes, yes. He was pissed. Yep.
I I don't think I've ever seen veins bulging out of someone's neck to that degree.
Yeah. The players were not executing on the game plan, that's for sure.
No, no. I mean, look, I don't want to be like, oh, they weren't executing on the game plan so much as it was Chicago looked like a different team. And ever since Shaqiri went to the Euros, it seems like they have been a different team.
Yep, that's exactly what Arsenal Seattle fan just said. Chicago 2 wins in a row
Yeah.
without Shaqiri. Like, it's it's pretty impressive.
Boy, that tells you something, doesn't it?
And I feel like this has happened before. Like, Shaqiri's injured or Shaqiri's out with a red card, and like they get a result, and then he comes back and they don't know what to do. And it's like, yikes!
I wonder
Paying
if
all that
Shaqiri just
money
like,
for him.
yeah, like does he just disrupt their midfield and like attacking sequences so much just from being himself that the rest of the team can't play with him on the field?
I think we're actually seeing this in Orlando with Luis Muriel, and that like, he's a name, he's a big player, like, and players sometimes defer to good players, right? Like, so you're in an attacking position, and Jordan Shaqiri's to your right, and maybe he has two guys on him, and maybe you're
You're still gonna
1v1,
pass.
but instead of taking your guy on, you're going to pass it to Jordan Shaqiri. And like, that will lead to bad outcome. And it has led to bad outcome. That's just an example. I don't know if that situation has ever happened, but like that's kind of the decision making that tends to happen with players, unfortunately.
Yeah, but same thing happens at Cincinnati with Lucho. There are plenty of times that it's like
Because he's the
players just
guy.
pass. Yeah, they pass it instinctively to Lucho. Even if they pass it to him and Lucho then is going to take on three guys and try and dribble through them. And even if like the person passing might have been able to like lay the ball off to someone who could have then gone one on one, they will pass it to Lucho.
Yeah. So it's things like that, and I just feel like sometimes a big name can hurt your team, and that might be what's happening here.
Yeah.
Is Kuipers the right guy? He's not too bad, says Arsenal Seattle fan.
He's not too bad. Yeah, he's starting to score.
Yeah, he's getting goals here and there. He's kind of a victim of
actually,
a broken team this season.
Here's the thought, Gavin. We frequently talk about this, right? It takes time to adjust to MLS. He's been here for like 5-6 months now.
Yep.
Maybe he's adjusted. If he goes on an absolute tear and starts scoring, then maybe we just say, you know what? Hand up in the air. He wasn't a bust. Turns out he was just like everyone else who needs time to adapt to MLS.
Yeah, and they spent some good money on him too. So
Yeah. They spend good money on everyone. Like eventually they have to hit on a player.
right.
They didn't hit on Shaqiri, so
I think they really just got to get the ball in and around the box more. He feels like just a box killer, and like he's just suffered from the fact that the team does not get around the box that often. But the more he does, I think, the more goals he'll score. He's on 6 for the season currently.
call him Mr. Exacto because he's cutting through the box,
Yes, exactly.
playing on a razor's edge there.
Yes, the other. Oh, we do have a correspondent corner from Tim.
From Tim.
He says, "Fire on an undefeated streak?" Question mark. The 4-1 win over a depleted Toronto came despite the Fire missing 3 starters from the back line, and the good run in form coincides with the departure of Xherdan Shaqiri, the team's most expensive player, for the Euros. With Shaq making it clear he'd rather stay in Europe and taking a dig at sporting director George Heitz in the process, the team could be set for a big summer. But first, they need to get results. Next up is an Orlando City team that will be on short rest, but looks like they figured a lot of things out, even if the results haven't followed yet. It'll be a big test for Fabian Herbers on MLS Team of the Match Day. Frank Klopas, who earned himself Team
of the week.
TOTM coaching honors.
Oh,
Team of the Match Day coaching honors. Interesting.
Like,
and the rest of the squad. And that's the end of his correspondence corner. It'll be a big test for Herbers and Klopas. What'd you say, Russell?
Has Orlando actually figured it out? That's high praise from Tim.
Well, we played really well against LAFC, people would say. We do everything well like between the boxes.
Right.
And by the
Except the
time it's
thing that
time to
lets you win.
shoot, and by the time it's time to take initiative, we don't do that. So I'm pretty sure we tied them when we played them in the peak of their lowness and their poor form and away from home. So maybe we'll get a win, maybe we'll get a draw, I don't know. But this one is not going to be a fun one to watch. That's all I'll say. And maybe they'll press us and we'll struggle. So we'll see. The last game I had lined up for us was New England 3, Vancouver 2.
I was really hoping you wouldn't pick this one.
This one hurts you, I know, both from a fan perspective and a wallet perspective.
I was in physical pain watching New England slot 3 goals past Takaoka. And here's a thought. Takaoka, I don't think he's a bad keeper. I think he's an average MLS keeper who just faces higher quality shots at a more frequent basis than what you would expect a keeper to save.
Yeah.
And so, like, he has the occasional howler, but in fairness, every keeper does.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I'm trying to understand, like, substantiate, like, why is this not getting fixed for Vancouver?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like,
I also do not know.
I didn't see this match, but the few times I've seen of Vancouver this season, and tell me if I'm wrong, like their midfield has been way too open and has not protected the defense well. So if you saw this match, do you feel like that tracks here or is that wrong?
It's not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. To my eyes, it looks like there's just way too much ease for teams to play through Vancouver.
Yeah, I think they have defensive problems. Like they're conceding goals a lot recently.
And there is not enough consistency from Brian White and Ryan Gauld to be able to offset the number of goals that they've been shipping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Gauld and White are great players. They are not going to combine to score you 3 goals every single match.
Right. They did have 2 wins before this one, but they've just been so inconsistent recently. It's hard to like really jump on them and praise them. I want to see more. I mean, Arsenal Seattle fan says Gauld is the core of this Vancouver side, and White has been a shadow of himself. I agree with both of those things. I think offensively, Vancouver are close to fine. I think they could be a little better, of course, but defensively, it is the problem for me. And again, from what I've seen, it stems from the midfield.
Yeah, I think you get some sort of midfield reinforcements. And I think I saw today there was like a rumor that Vancouver was in talks with a Brighton player who I want to say is a midfielder.
Is that from Tom?
Yeah, from Tom. And I would, I'd have to look.
I'll look right now.
You can look if you want.
I'm looking.
But, yeah. So, like, some sort of midfield reinforcement, but I don't know if, like, just that fixes it. Because I don't think you're getting the productivity out of Brian White. Like, if Brian White has to consistently perform, and he's shown no indication this season that he's going to consistently perform, I think you need something else in attack. And
yes,
you start to get to a point where it's like, how many positions can you feasibly replace?
I think Fafa Picault.
Mm-hmm. being a
shouldn't be a
top.
starter.
Well, he shouldn't be, and yet he is a top contributor for this team, which is
I think
indicative
that's a
of
gap.
yeah, that's indicative of where an issue is right now.
He's a strong squad player,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think he should be a starter. I think White and Gold could get you where you want to go, but I don't think. I think they'd have to hit form at the right time, and the chances of that are very low.
Yeah, I think I think Gall does get you where you want to go. The jury is slowly going out for me on Brian White.
Interesting. Ian Southcote one in the chat says, "Why is Gald not at the Euros?" We did
Great
ask. We
question.
we were talking about it the other day. You and I. We weren't.
Yeah.
We were surprised that he wasn't there. Um, considering the performance Scotland put up, not sure Gald would have changed anything, but I think he's good enough to be on that roster. I wonder if that's just a little bit of just because he's in MLS.
Maybe.
Like that,
Yeah.
it could literally be because of that.
There's MLS bias.
Oh well, Arsenal Seattle fan said Morgan is at the Euros though.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Is he
Oof.
Scottish?
Yeah, Lewis Morgan?
You're telling me Lewis Morgan went and Ryan Gauld didn't?
Crazy, right?
I didn't realize he was Scottish. That's kind of crazy, yeah. Maybe I don't know. Did he decline it? I don't know. That's wild.
I think to be fair, Lewis Morgan is having an absolute scorcher of a season.
Yes, he is.
And if you are only if you're if you've got locked in guys and you're looking at MLS and saying, well, we can grab like maybe one or two guys from MLS, like based on form, you take Lewis Morgan.
That's fair.
But right now, based on recent form, that's who you take.
All Tom Bogert said about that player was a name to watch around MLS this summer is Brighton midfielder Mark Leonard. He says at least one MLS Cup has started talks with Brighton. He doesn't say who.
Someone else out there tweeted that it's Vancouver.
Okay. So
I
yeah,
remember seeing that.
Someone there's a couple of people saying in the comments saying it's probably Vancouver. All right, let's finish off with the rest of our correspondent corners.
Yes.
Joe
with them, Gavin.
NYCFC. They lost 3-2 to Columbus in a pretty good match on Friday night. I'm enjoying the Friday night footy for sure. Let's keep that up, MLS. Joe says, yeah. Joe says hot streak comes to an end at the hands of the defending champs. Red card threw a wrench in this match. This is harsh. Novice referee Alexis De Silva was at the forefront of this match and not in a good way. I didn't really disagree with the refereeing, but after a sleepy first half, NYCFC looked poised to try to steal a point in this one, but couldn't manufacture the equalizer. Brutal away games coming up will test this squad and see what they are really capable of prior to Leagues Cup.
Yeah, I think NYCFC had some self-inflicted wounds in this one.
Agree. I think that's it for correspondent corners.
I love your transition, your segue. You're like, let's wrap this up with all of our other correspondent corners. One.
There's one. And then maybe I can just speed through the rest of the matches. Like I don't know. Trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to cover. Seattle 2-0 win over Minnesota. Good sign. It's a big win for them. They've been pretty bad this season.
Aren't Minnesota missing multiple players as well for Euros?
Probably.
Yeah.
They had
I don't know if I take
Tani though and Bongi. So I don't know. But just
yeah.
Yes, Arsenal Seattle fan. Yes. Maxi Morales should be starting for NYCFC. They look so much better when he's on the pitch.
Factual statement. I think he was coming back from injury though, and they're managing minutes is the reason why he hasn't been starting.
Yeah, and he's old as heck. Yep.
Right. But the factual statement. NYCFC is straight up just better by a significant amount with him on the field.
Okay. I think that's all I got for the match week.
All right. You want to go throw money into a fire real quick?
I'm changing my strategy. I did my 3-leg because we got to do it. We got to do it. Got to do what you got to do.
Yep. Correct. Yep.
But I'm done with the parlays. I can't handle it anymore. I can't handle it. So I'm just going to do one team each week. Just one team.
Right. So anyways, let's go back to the 3-leg that is required by law that you said you're not going to do, but you had to do.
Cincinnati over Philadelphia. Somehow you guys at home over Philly was at minus 105. I couldn't believe it.
Because Matt Miazga's out.
You guys are going to beat them. It's fine.
And Miles Robinson is also out.
You guys are going to beat them. It's fine. It's fine.
I believe that we will, but I think that's why they're giving it that specific split.
Fair. LAFC over Austin. This will be the one time they don't win, but it is what it is.
Agree, yes.
And this one's pretty risky, but Portland over San Jose.
You fool.
I know.
San Jose are going to come out swinging, and they're going to hang up like 5 goals on Portland.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a 5-2, 5-3, and then San Jose are going to not win any matches for like another month.
Hence, it is money in the fire. What is your money in the fire?
Well, I also took LAFC over Austin because I agree that's as far as obvious upsets go, this is definitely not one that I would see coming. So that's why it's going to happen. I also took Real Salt Lake over Sporting Kansas City because SKC are a terrible team.
That's a good one.
And somehow it's plus 150.
RSL are plus 150?
RSL are plus 150.
Home against SKC? Oh,
they're away again.
Away.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
that's a little different.
You're a terrible team.
Yeah, but they like playing RSL.
Great. They can like losing to RSL at home.
Okay.
And then finally, I'm taking Columbus Crew over Inter Miami.
Oh, yeah. That was my one team. That was my one pick.
Mm-hmm.
Columbus are beating Miami. It's locked in. So don't trust me. Don't listen to me, everybody, because I'm always wrong with my locks.
Correct.
Locked in.
Whatever Gavin has picked, take the opposite.
Correct.
Easy money.
We got 2 things quickly on Seattle. Arsenal Seattle fan says De La Vega personally is not a scam. Interesting. The hamstring injuries came from him being overworked in training. Okay. So he's got the quality, but he just too much training.
Interesting.
I want to see it. Personally.
You want to see Seattle's private training sessions?
No, true. I want to see him play on the field and be good for them. That's what I want to see.
Okay. Well, he's done that earlier
once.
in the season before he was injured.
Like once.
Right.
Then
you should have watched that game then.
I did. Ian Southcote want Seattle in the midst of 5 of 7 at home against the likes of Dallas, Chicago, Revolution, and St. Louis. Time to go is now. I think Seattle could be back. I think they could be back. They're going to assault the league, kind of like what New York City FC did when they had a strong home run.
No.
Yes.
Assault the league is a strong term because NYC also got away results, and I'm not sure if I see Seattle getting away results right now.
True. Fun fact, I think St. Louis are yet to win away from home this season.
Oh my gosh, St. Louis are a travesty
I think
this season.
That's correct.
And they have another I think who is it? Celio Pompeo is now out as well.
Oh, is he? That stinks.
Yeah, and AZ Jackson is now going to Columbus for like 650,000 GAM guaranteed.
Yep. Good signing by them.
That's holy moly.
Rusnak and Alex Roldan did come off injured for the Seattle match. That is correct. Arsenal Seattle fan. And Rothrock, is that his name? Rothrock came on and got the second goal. He looked pretty good. But okay, I think
I remain very bearish on.
Yes, I don't blame you.
On Seattle.
I don't blame you. Let's knock it on the head.
There you go. I knocked it on the head for you.
Boom.
I hit the play button.
I heard it. Thanks to all you who came and joined and hung out with us in the chat. We do really appreciate it. Enjoy chatting with you guys. It's not just me and Russell here alone in the wilderness. That's
right. You're saving Gavin's sanity.
Little by little, each day.
Yeah. The more time he spends with me, the more unstable he becomes.
Yeah. That's actually accurate. That is a fair statement. Some days I feel like I'm descending into like a schizophrenic abyss.
Right. Like a multiverse of madness.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's next week's title.
That would be a great movie name. Let me tell you. Multiverse of Madness. If only someone would make a movie titled that.
You would think somebody would.
But I don't know of any movies like that. You know, but what I do know is if you want to follow Gavin on social media, you can find him on social media at LionsBlog1.
I did it again. Sorry.
You can find me on social media at Mr. Dangerous, and most importantly, you can find the MLS Now podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast, as well as online at MLSNowPodcast.com. Gavin, listeners, till next time.
Don't forget to like the stream. Till next time.